We move on to a riveting subject today. It's everyone's favourite amphibious stroke, froggy. Well, breaststroke to be exact. Today we take a look at the breaststroke kick and an easy method for learning it. Also, we take a look at some common faults. Breaststroke kick is one of the strongest kicks in swimming. In the breaststroke stroke, it equates to about 70% of your overall swim. Alike with front crawl arms, this is where most of the power comes from in breaststroke. Breaststroke kick is the only kick in swimming that you will ever use a sculling motion with your feet towards the end of the kick. This helps add to the power provided by your kick. Although breaststroke is one of the strongest kicks, it is also the most injury-prone kick, as it puts a severe amount of pressure on your knees, and when performed too much will lead to injuries. The ways to avoid this are to always do a few slow lengths of breaststroke before going into harder sets to warm up the muscles surrounding the knees, to make sure that your sessions never consist of more than 50% of breaststroke kick, and to make sure that your kick is correct, as this will help minimize extra strain. The way to perform one of the strongest kicks in swimming is like so. Start by having your legs long side by side with your toes pointed. You will then raise your feet up towards your trunk, aka your bum. As you do so, your knees will very slightly tuck in. This is only so that you keep your feet under the water. When at this point, your body should be in a sideways elongated S shape. As your feet finish to rise towards your bottom, they will then turn into a V-like shape with your toes facing opposite sides of the pool. Keeping your knees close together, you will then push backwards with your feet to accelerate your body forwards. Your aim here is to catch the water with your feet like you would on an arm pull on any stroke. The sculling motion on the breaststroke kick happens at the end of the kick, just after you push back, when your feet will flick together and get back into the streamlined position. This, when done right, can equate to 10% of your overall kick. Now, the best way that I have found to learn the breaststroke kick is within a sequence. Practice the following sequence while sitting on the side so that you can control the motions. Then move on to swimming whilst performing the sequence. In. Start with your legs long and your toes pointed. Then draw your feet in towards the wall whilst keeping your upper leg still. V. Keeping your legs and ankles together, turn your toes out so that both of your feet combined make the letter V. Out. Slide your feet in opposite directions along the wall whilst maintaining that V shape and also keeping your knees together. Continue as far as you possibly can with your feet. Snap. Bring your feet off of the wall and push slightly round and forwards to get your feet to snap together, therefore resetting the sequence. Once you feel you have learnt this sequence, grab a pool buoy, hold onto it like a TV remote by the sides with your thumbs on top and fingers underneath, and then perform the kick on your front. Do be aware though here, as you or your pupil's feet may rise out of the water. In this case, you will have to get them or you to tuck their knees in very slightly. Ensure that you tell yourself the words as you do the motions. This will help you visualize the motions whilst performing them. Any faults with a breaststroke kick will usually lead into a screw kick. This is where your legs are doing different things or are kicking at different times. Knees too far apart. When kicking in breaststroke, the power comes from the push backwards with your feet. So, if your knees are too far apart, then you are more susceptible to kicking around rather than kicking backwards. This, in turn, takes most of the power out of your kick, as the water instead will be pushed to the side of your body. To help correct this, grab a pool buoy and place it just above your knees, in between your legs. Then, you can either just perform kick or the full stroke. The goal here is to keep the board in between your legs. If you do lose the board, then that means that your knees have come too far apart. When you have had a few goes, take the board out again and then practice your full stroke. Whilst practicing your stroke, now you need to imagine that the board is still betwixt your legs. Here, it would help if someone could overlook your stroke, as it sometimes is hard to feel how far apart your knees are. Lean in on your hip. When you ask someone what a screw kick is, this will probably be their example. One leg lower than the other and the higher leg flicking out of the pool. This is caused when the swimmer gets to the out phase of the sequence and is leaning on one hip or the other, which then subsequently causes the V shape to disappear in one leg. This then causes that leg to straighten up so that when snapping back, the leg will more or less perform a bent-legged front crawl kick. Now to correct this one, it is best to go onto your back. Get a reasonably sized board for your height and place it on your stomach but slightly on your hips. Then start the breaststroke kick. Ensure to keep your hips touching the board equally. This should stop you from leaning. Then transition back onto your front and perform the normal kick. If this doesn't work, then perform the sequence with a 2-second gap in between each word. When you get to the out position, the pause for 2 seconds will allow you to find your balance. Also, when snapping, snap slowly so that you can control your kick a little bit more, as when it is rushed, that's when the problems occur. If neither of these work, then you can get the pull buoy again. This will automatically raise your hips due to the buoyancy. However, you will still have to perform the sequence slowly. The raising of your hips should allow for a normal kick, as it means you can't push too hard down on one hip as the board will counteract this. No V. Not turning your feet out, or even worse, turning your feet in like an A will detriment your kick in the most severe way, as it will cause you to gain the least amount of power possible from your kick. Your kick will now more closely resemble a dolphin kick. This is because your feet aren't turned out and you physically can't kick around and back. Not to worry though, this is salvageable. Again, going back to the sequence, you can pause for 2 seconds in each position, like the prior situation. But if you are struggling on just performing the V as you kick around and your arm pull is good enough, then you can just pull and hold that out position. Although this is strenuous, it can be very beneficial as it can help you get to grips with the position just before the actual propulsive phase of the kick, thus contributing to keeping that V shape. If, however, you can't physically turn your feet out, then you will have to practice at home or on the side of the pool. Do this by turning your feet out bit by bit, but keeping your heels together. When you feel like you have turned your feet out as far as you possibly can, hold it there for 30 seconds and then try and turn out even further again. This, all in all, is to create the flexibility needed in your ankles for the breaststroke kick. All of these different corrective phases can be mixed and matched to suit your needs, so don't just think you can only use one of them. Breaststroke kick is the most unnatural kick in swimming, so don't be surprised if you don't get it straight away. Some people's anatomy will naturally allow them to be better at breaststroke kick, so if yours doesn't, then please just persist. You'll get there in the end. I hope that you have enjoyed today's video. Remember, if you want to see anything in particular, then just leave a comment below. Now is a great time to subscribe, as I will be releasing videos on a weekly to a 2-weekly basis, dependent on editing required. To subscribe, click on our logo here. Also, if you're in the mood for some extra tuition on strokes and technique, then click here to watch the latest video. Have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next one.